What's going on, guys? It's Cal here from Buffalo SportsCenter, and today we're going to be discussing, was Lindy Ruff the right choice for the Sabres head coach? Let's get into it. So, Lindy Ruff. Man, Lindy Ruff is back with the Sabres, and I got to admit, I'm kind of shell-shocked. I did have him as my number one option, though, going into the coaching search. But let's be honest, there were some big names available, and for the Sabres to get a guy like Lindy Ruff, it definitely ruffled the feathers of some of the fans. Some other fans are pretty hype about it, but let's dive into it a little bit on my opinions and then, what other people are saying online. So first things first, let's dive into my opinions. I might be biased here. I watched Lindy Ruff coach, growing up. When I first started watching the Sabres, Lindy Ruff was behind the bench, much like, a lot of other people in my generation, watching Lindy Ruff behind the bench, watching those, early Sabres teams, at least when I was younger, was just so fun. Guys like Pominville, Roy, Vanek, Miller, Briere, just great teams. So I'm a little biased, and I think it's going to be absolutely incredible to see Lindy Ruff back behind the Sabres bench. With that being said, like I mentioned before, you had guys like Craig Berube, Bruce Boudreau available, to coach this team. So getting a guy like Lindy Ruff, who just got fired from the Devils, who just missed the playoffs, it's a questionable move. But with that being said, I think Lindy Ruff is perfect for this job. Now, Kevin Adams has said multiple times, first when we hired him, then during the press conference, this hiring had nothing to do with nostalgia. Now, I get it, most fans that have been critical of this move say, oh, this is a typical Sabres move. They get an old guy. They're trying to get fans back. That's the only reason they did that. I disagree with that. I do think it had something to do with it. I don't believe Kevin entirely when he says it has nothing to do with nostalgia. But let's be honest here. Lindy Ruff brings that fire behind the bench that the Sabres players desperately need and have been asking for. I was shocked to hear all of these Sabres players say, we need a coach that pushes us, that gets in our face. This team has honestly been whiny for the last year. Under one of the softest coaches in the league in Don Granado, who they were buddies with, this team crumbled under the pressure. They complained about fans booing. They whined. They complained. It was just nonstop complaining from this team. So to hear them say that was a huge shock. And, quite honestly, I was very impressed with some of the responses from guys like Dahlin, Tuck, Thompson. They said, this is unacceptable. Again, hindsight's 2020, and it's easier to say something after it happens. But, they said last season was unacceptable, and it can't happen. So at the end of the day, this Sabres team, they needed a coach that's going to get in their players' faces, that's going to have their backs like that. And that guy is Lindy Ruff. Again, there's a lot of coaches available, so there are other guys that would have qualified as a kind of a hard-ass coach. But Lindy Ruff is certainly one, and there is proof of that. Now let's get into what some other people are saying, right? Because some people are saying it was nostalgia-based. Some people are saying it wasn't an in-house hire, but basically was an in-house hire, and I know Sabres fans are sick of that after, getting Kevin Adams in-house, Don Granado in-house, and, it really hasn't panned out as well as we would have liked. Would have liked to be in the playoffs by now. Something about 13 years missing the playoffs just doesn't seem that acceptable to fans, which, I can understand. But, Lindy Ruff said all the right things in his press conference. I think he said, the fans will be back. He said, the main reason he came back is to hear Paul Hamilton and Mike Harrington again, which, quite honestly, I don't know why anyone would say that, but clearly a joke there. But, I just think Lindy Ruff has said all the right things since coming back, and I think he's quickly proving all these doubters wrong who have said, he's not ready, he doesn't develop with the league. He doesn't change with the league. Look what he did with the Devils. That's a young team, kind of like the Sabres, and they were a really electric team for a while. Again, their GM let them down, their goaltending let them down, but the overall team on the ice was great. And I think if, UPL can continue to be a premier goalie in the league, if Devin Levi comes up next year, backs him up, plays at least at a competent level, which I think he's going to do way better than just an average level, but we'll see what happens with him. Again, goalies take a while. We saw that with UPL. If this team could give this coach great goaltending, I think the sky's the limit for this team, because Lindy's going to get the most out of his guys, whereas Don Granado might have, took the foot off the pedal just a little too much. And, these guys played at a level lower than we're used to seeing them play. We saw 2 seasons ago. That was the most fun Sabres team I've seen in 10 plus years. They scored 7 goals, it seemed, every night. It was incredible. And again, their goaltending let them down. Last season was the complete opposite, and Don Granado kind of let the team down, changing his philosophy. The goaltending was finally there, and if we would have just played the system we played last year, it would have worked. Now, I do give props to Don Granado. Terry Pagula said he apologized to him. He apologized to Kevin Adams. And let's be honest, Don Granado was a stand-up guy. He wasn't a snake charmer like that Ralph Kruger guy, that's for sure. And, I wish Don Granado all the best in his future. I hope he lands another job. But honestly, I just think he's a developmental coach. I'd love to see him go back to a role with, some younger players and some tournaments like that. But Lindy Ruff, he's here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Lindy Ruff was the right choice? Are you guys happy about this? Are you guys upset by this? Trust me, I had to deal with a lot of people in our comment section and in our DMs saying this was a horrible move. They were, it seems like they were the vocal minority, but a lot of people were coming at us saying this was a bad move. And I just said, wait and see what he could get out of these players. I mean, you got guys like Alex Tuck who have watched this guy, who have dreamed of playing for him, watching those great teams in 06, 07, 08 for the Sabres. So just wait and see. I think this is going to be the perfect hire for the Sabres. I think it's going to work out. I'm pumped to have Lindy Ruff. I was very excited. Again, I'm biased. I've already put that out there. I mean, Lindy Ruff's my favorite coach of all time. So, and how could it not be, right? The Sabres haven't had anyone even close to as good as Lindy Ruff in previous years. So, with that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.